Hey, how's it going? Oh, no glasses on. I should probably put my glasses on. You guys aren't used to seeing me without my glasses. That's better. And I probably won't be able to read stuff. Hey, how's it going? Hey, happy Saturday. How's everyone doing? Hopefully well. Hopefully good. I apologize for not being here the last couple of weeks. I've been a little sick. I know someone's gonna ask, was it COVID? Yeah, it was. And it was interesting to say the least. Thank you so much for, man, there was so many subs and resubs. I'll call them out here in a second too, and I'll definitely get caught up. The lights have been flashing nonstop, so I really appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, so yeah, I was sick. It was COVID. It was super weird. I know there's maybe not a stigma about telling people you've had it in the past, so I figured, hey, I'm gonna say what it was. So yeah, I did. It was weird. I was totally fine. I just feel like for a long time, and even still, just low energy. If that's how I can describe it, low energy. Kind of weird though. Kind of weird. It was definitely a weird experience. When it kicked in, I felt like I had a cold. And then like 3 or 4 days later, I felt like I had another cold, and I was like, I've never had 2 colds before. I feel like I have 2 colds, and sure enough, I got tested and I was, but fine now. I'm I'd say about 80%. So I'm super good. I've had 3 good days in a row, and I that's all I can ask for. So, but yeah, so other than that, man, what have you guys been up to? Haven't talked to you in a while. Man, I'm going to call these all out. Gosh, thank you guys so much. Thank you. But yeah, what have you guys been up to? I know that I definitely it keeps going off. Thank you so much. I've been working on a couple of things behind the scenes. Obviously, you saw what I was working on this morning, and it's this thing called Tdarr, which is pretty awesome. I think it's awesome, and it's an easy way to transcode video. I know that people have all sorts of videos. I have a ton of videos. I record videos for YouTube, like this one will be recorded and get transcoded at some point in time. Most of my videos I keep, I don't know why, just in case. That might not always be the case, but I keep them just in case. And so I needed an archival format, I guess, if you will. And I found H.265 to be that. And Tdarr is actually kind of nice because it's a distributed transcoding server. They have a Docker container. And then you can spin up to 5 nodes, I think, on the free version and transcode and just plow through your video job. So anyways, pretty awesome. And that's what I've been working on. Weather. I skipped over weather, but weather this week in the Midwest, at least where I am, it feels like winter. I mean, it snowed the other day, and then it melted, and then it kind of snowed again. So it's been a little bit chillier here than normal. And I know that I think a lot of the south is getting a lot of rain, southeast getting a lot of rain, but I think it's going to feel like spring here come midweek for the Midwest. 60s. Should be 50s. I love the 50s. I feel like we're going to skip over 50s. This happens in Minnesota a lot. We go straight from 20s and 30s all the way up to 60s and 70s. So anyways, but I'm glad to have it. Glad that snow is mostly gone if it doesn't snow anymore. So hey, real quick, if it's your first time here, pretty open, pretty loose. We just talk about things that we're working on, talk about tech projects that we're interested in. If you're struggling with a problem or just want to share something, throw it in chat and I'll definitely try to get to it. I start from the top down. I work my way down. And so yeah, that's kind of how it works. I feel a little bit off, so I apologize. I'll try to cover it up a little bit better. I can already tell in my voice, this is the most I've talked in a couple of weeks, especially at this volume. Well, you guys heard me on Discord, I think about 2 weeks ago. I was like, my voice was it was even lower than that. It was incredibly low. I wish that would have stuck around for a little bit. I still feel it a little bit in there. So anyways, let's get caught up on all the events that happened. There were subs, follows, resubs. So let's get into it. So real quick before we started, Introvertalina, Dart, thanks for the follow. Thank you so much. Ilude, resub, tier 1, 19 month streak. Thanks so much, Ilude. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Crack Kitty, yes, resub, Prime, 7 months, 5 month streak. Alsring, resub, Prime, 3 months. Thank you so much for the continued support. Mafni has resub, tier 1, 18 month streak. Hello, Tim. I'm currently going to install Windows 98 on a VM and try to play some old games. That sounds really awesome. Good old days of Windows 98 SE, hopefully SE. 98 SE was a little bit better. That's right when I started using PCs at home. Mr. Mormonson, thank you so much for the sub, Prime sub. Thanks for spending on me. Appreciate it. Crack Kitty gifted 5 tier 1 subs. Dude, thank you so much, Crack Kitty. Thank you. Appreciate it. So Xavier D, JCX Life, Ansar, Ultramark, Normal Value. Enjoy your gifted sub from Crack Kitty. Thank you. Jenna Ryan, resub, tier 1, 17 months. Thank you so much, Jenna Ryan. Thank you. How's it going? Nod Narb, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. And Moving Llama has subbed, Prime sub. Thank you so much for spending your Prime sub on me. Thank you. So, man, that hype train is still going. It keeps getting refilled. I see it out of the corner of my eye. That pink bar keeps filling up. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So what are you guys working on? What can I help with? What can we talk about? Let's talk. I feel like I haven't talked to you guys in a while. Obviously, I've been in Discord chat and chatting and been on voice chat every now and then throughout the week. So I've been mostly caught up, but not caught up with Twitch stream, so I appreciate it. Dude, Xavius D, thank you. 100 bits, thank you so much. Thank you, Xavius. How's it going? I saw your new rack and Sweet Setups channel, and I was like, ooh, that's looking good. That's looking good. You went from, hey, it arrived, to, hey, it's a fully racked server rack and cabled and everything. I was like, man, this guy gets stuff done. One day it was in a box, next day it's fully racked, so it was looking good. Apollo Python, thanks for the Prime sub, or no, tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. Thank you. Man, those lights don't stop. I like it. For many reasons. One, I mean, when else can I have flashing LED lights in my room? Only when I stream. Well, it actually goes off sometimes during meetings because I don't disable it. But then also, you know, it means my code's working, so that's a good thing too. So anyway, so let's get into chat. I've been using this new chat system. It's working out okay. Let's see how it's gonna work. And for my test message has been selected this whole entire time. Rookie hour. So Salvarius, howdy, how's it going? So Salvarius was first. Actually, there were people in chat channel when I was testing, and I said hi. And I think PC Geek was in there. Salvarius was in there. So thank you. Yeah, man, you guys are part of the pre-crew, the early crew, waiting for it to start. Appreciate it. Salvarius was first. I don't know who was really first, but he was the first answer when I was testing some stuff out. PC Geek, Docker Run, Docker Run -D-P. Oh, ports on Twitch E. Environment variable of streaming equals 1. Techno Tim _live latest. Yeah, get latest. Let's live on the edge. Yes. It was so good. PC Geek, oh yeah, head shake. I need to get mine in there, and I need to fix these at some point. Long story. I was looking at this GitHub repo. I think they're gonna sunset it and move to something else. Otherwise, I was gonna try to open some pull requests if I could, but let's see. Salvarius, no exception thrown. Yeah, PC Geek, Scaredy Cat, Popcorn. Salvarius, it's hard to know if these are emotes or not. Yeah, he's trolling. All right, let's get in here. Crack Kitty, yo, how's it going? Hopefully I didn't skip over anyone. Dunkle Dan, yes, early gang, that's for sure. Early gang, there's the early gang that's ready when the stream starts. Then there's the gang that gets the Twitch notification. Then there's the Discord notification. Then there's everyone else who just comes and maybe knows it's at 3, or other people who are just browsing Twitch thinking, who is this guy with the pink flashing lights in the background? So Salvarius, Docker compose env file env up -d. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I need all the help I can get over the last couple of weeks. That's for sure. Manny, hey all, PogChamp, how's it going? Poggers, yeah, man. Skook Alley, hello all. Flowdash, woohoo. Dogs. Oh, here we go. Doggin Patelli. Oh man, I got to get your name right. I apologize. Doggin Tapelli. There we go, Doggin Tapelli. Hello, is it possible to do mining using Raspberry Pis? I think so, but it's gonna take a long time. I mean, because it's you can, you definitely can. I remember Network Chuck releasing a video on it, about it in general. So it's definitely possible. You know, you're just not gonna get that many cycles in, depending on what you're mining. But yeah, for sure, it's definitely possible. Where there's a will, there's a way. People will find a way. People have found a way to mine it on Game Boys because it has an ASIC processor, I think. So it's where there's a will, there's a way, for sure. Mr. Monsoon, dig technically, but did not in any way profitable. No, yeah, for sure. It's technically possible, but not profitable for science only, and YouTube videos because they do well. Let's see. Thank you all. Yeah, no problem. They got you. They got you covered. Mr. Mormonson, why can't I say that right? I want to say Mr. Mormonson. I don't know why, but it's Mr. Monsoon. Mr. Monsoon, Docker storage, working on Docker storage. Interesting. Yeah, it's you have options. You have options for sure. I know that some people use local, some people use remote. There are ups and downs with both. Remote always gets you into troubles with NFS sometimes if you're using SQLite databases, as a lot of people found out with Uptime Kuma, because it uses a SQLite database. So it's just things to watch out for. If you spin up a container and it's not running, and you look in the logs and it says something about cannot acquire a SQLite database lock, that's the problem I'm talking about, and it's kind of painful. But there are ways around it. I think there's NFS versions you can change if you can change them easily, but you have lots of options, and so I'm not going to dictate options. Let me know. Mr. Monsoon got it right this time, and backups. All right, both good options. Why not both? Piece of Geek did that once. It's a fun journey. Which journey? Oh my gosh. Oh man, I can't pull the thread out. I'll figure it out here in a minute. Uncle Dan, I'm procrastinating building this giant L-shaped desk. All right, I wish I had an L-shaped desk too. I purchased, which is much larger than I anticipated. LOL. Yeah. L-shaped desks are great because you could just pivot and have one monitor and one station there and pivot. I have to pivot all the way back there is where my other one is, and back to here. So yeah, it's nice having an L-shaped desk because you can just do more. You can swivel on your chair. Don't even need to get up. Let's see. I'll swing. Hey Tim, did you ever do a video on how you hooked up your drive cage up to your NAS VM? Yeah, I have. Let me grab a drink. I did. It was kind of mixed into my. I combined two videos. I learned later on, like sometimes that gets kind of weird, like now. But yeah, I did. In my how to virtualize TrueNAS, one of my very first videos, going way back. I showed how I hooked up my HBA controller to my disk shelf, and it's just an HBA controller to an old NetApp disk shelf using very cable that I can never remember the exact ins and outs of, but it's all listed in there. And yeah, it's should be documented there. But that's all it is. HBA controller to a NetApp disk shelf, and then I do virtualize TrueNAS, and then I pass that HBA controller through to the TrueNAS guest, and then give it all access to all disks. And it's been working out fine. I debate that decision probably every 3 days. Like, should I go physical? Should I go back to virtual? And I was just thinking about it a little while ago while I was in the shower. Weird stuff you think about in the shower, but I actually was. But yeah, it's in there. Let me know if you need some help. Blowdash, just finished setting up my cloud init. Now on to a proper K3S. All right. Going deep on the stack. All right, yeah, let me know how it works out. I have my K3S cluster here. I build it up and tear it down. Every time someone says some piece doesn't work, I'm like, okay, build it up and tear it down. I totally want to automate this whole entire thing during CI, during a pull request too. That's what I learned about infrastructure in general. It's just hard to test. It's a lot of manual testing. At least for me, and I know there are testing tools out there. Hopefully they're continuing to evolve because this is awesome. But for me, doing software development, writing unit tests or even functional tests is awesome because when people open pull requests to your code, you can automatically execute tests and say, did you break anything? And, run through your suite of tests, and it'll test and tell you yes or no. And then you can, merge changes in with confidence. With my K3S Ansible playbook, it's kind of hard to do that. And I know that Ansible has some test automation. I should look into it some more. But I would love to be able to just have, when people open a pull request to my Ansible playbook, spin up all the infrastructure, test it, and then I can merge with confidence. My merge with confidence now is just spinning the whole thing up in my in my cluster right now and test to make sure it works. Anyways. Long story short, awesome. I'm glad you got Cloud Init up and going. I'm glad you're going to test out K3S. I think that running Kubernetes in a home lab or a test bed or somewhere is the easiest way and the best way, at least for me, to learn about Kubernetes. So yeah, awesome. Skookally, HomeKit with VLANs, pain in my ass. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I have mine going. It is tough. It is tough. I decided. Yeah. So it's tough. I decided to put my Apple TV on my IoT VLAN. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but I kind of gave in. It was either bring my Apple TV to my trusted VLAN and bring some devices to my trusted VLAN, or throw my Apple TV over into the Wild West, the IoT VLAN. I thought, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. It's Apple. Just throw him over there. So I had some troubles too, but nice. The nice thing about doing that is still, I do use MDNS, but I'm still able to communicate with that container and with a container that runs. HomeKit's also there, and with my Apple TV and all those devices that are over there too when I'm on other networks. So a lot of firewall rules and a lot of pain to go through. A lot of pain, for sure. That's what she said. Yeah, for sure. Uncle Dan. Oh yeah. Geek Almighty. Hi, how's it going? Mr. Monsoon. This is next when I get my other 2 servers in. Nice. Flowdash. Also need to figure out why I can't wake on LAN with my R710. Interesting. I think mine was working okay. It's been a while. That thing never turned off. So it was always hard to test my wake on LAN, but I think I had mine working. It's gotta work. It's gotta work. What I've noticed, if you're doing wake on LAN packets, I don't know how you're sending them, but I've found that there are 2 packages on Linux that work pretty good. I forget what their names are. I have them in a repo in my Hail Mary wake on LAN shell script. But there are 2 packages out there. When I run those packages and install them on my Pi Zero, I install both and I run both commands in my shell script because I never know which one's going to send the real packet to wake up some devices. So wish I could help. Maybe if you remind me, I can point you to it's in my GitHub. If you look at my GitHub, there's a Pi Zero wake on LAN script, and you can see which packages I use from Ubuntu or a Raspberry Pi to actually wake them up. I don't know if that's your problem, but I would try with more than one. However you're sending that magic packet, try with something else too, because that might be it. I had problems with that in the past, lots of them. Uncle Dan, to be fair, I won at an auction and they mislabeled the box, so it's much larger and more expensive desk than I was expecting. Yeah, they were like, yeah, this guy won. Let's give him the gigantic one. We can't get rid of this thing. No, kidding. Awesome, man. But good luck on getting that desk up and going, for sure. Mr. Monsoon, Flowdash, Proxbox. Oh, gotcha. It might need to be enabled in the NIC in the firmware settings. There are 4 of them on that server. Yeah, good call. If I click on the button, good call. PC Geek. Yeah, didn't even think about that. There are 4. There's quad gigabit NICs. I think out of the box. Well, most people bought them with that. So yeah, good call. Yeah, so then you're going to have to guess which of the 4 MAC addresses. I would just spam them all, because who knows? Who knows which one you're using or which one you might plug it into in the future. So yeah, spam them all. True. If you enable it in the BIOS, you need to check this as well. Uncle Dan, I just need to rearrange half my room to make space for it now. Yeah. JCX Life, hey, how's it going? Glad to see you're up and about, Tim. Thank you. Any chance of a shout out for my birthday a few weeks ago? Yeah, for sure. Happy birthday. I think your birthday was, I want to say it was last week, Tuesday or Wednesday. I told you in Discord, happy birthday. Happy birthday, JCX. I hope you had a good time. I know that you got some new audio equipment that you were super pumped about. I think we bantered back and forth about an old version of something that I use that you are also think is pretty decent for starting out. And so yeah, happy birthday. Hope you had a good time. Thanks for checking in on me. I'm doing okay. Also, Ring, I wanted to get your opinion on UniFi Protect versus hacked together solutions like Blue Iris, Shinobi, and third-party cams. I think you just said it yourself. No, I'm kidding. So I used Blue Iris for about, I would say 10 years. I started out on a webcam in my apartment with some Atom-based processor, and that was the way I checked in my apartment when I left, when I went on vacation or I traveled or anything. So I've been using Blue Iris a long time. That evolved for a long time. My cameras didn't evolve though. You know, I had a hodgepodge of cameras. I probably had 6 or 7 along with webcams I would plug in to random computers, install some Java client, so then I could connect those to Blue Iris, so I have more cameras. And it worked. It worked great. I would say that Blue Iris is a great piece of software, and a lot of people use it. And I still love it. I have fond memories of using it. But yeah, so putting them up against each other, you know, you're gonna have pros and cons with both. You're gonna have pros and cons with both. You know, the pro with Blue Iris is that you can use any PoE or USB, any camera you can find that has an MPEG stream or some kind of stream that you can tap into. It's awesome. I mean, they've tested with thousands and thousands of cameras, probably have thousands and thousands of users. You know, and the list goes on and on and on about it. And you know, then there are some cons with it too. Like, you know, it's gotta run on only Windows. It has a yearly maintenance license to get updates. You know, it may or may not use a GPU for encoding. I think you can. It may or may not have, you know, object detection, which I think you can add on. So, you know, there are a lot of these features or things that people might not want to deal with. And I got to that point, not saying anything bad about Blue Iris, because like I said, loved it, but I got to that point where I was like, okay, I have a UDM Pro, maybe I'll get some cameras, and it was all over from there. So I don't want to say that it's a bad solution. It's just a different solution, how you want to manage it. You know, I was using some cameras that were made by some company, who knows what, that firmware hasn't been touched for how many decades, you know, and I was just like, is this, you know, do I want to keep doing this? Do I want to keep managing all of this, you know, and having this mental model of these cameras and what firmware and how they work? Or do I want to just kind of wipe my hands of it and let my UDM Pro take care of firmware, updates, online, offline, object detection, all of that seamlessly? And I that's the route I went. When I first bought my UDM Pro, I didn't think that was the route I was going to go. But I got to that point, and maybe you will too, or maybe you like that. Maybe that's, you know, for, like I said, I used Blue Iris for like 10 years. I loved it. I loved it to death. It was one of the first reasons why I started virtualizing, because I was like, well, I only have one server. I want to have multiple machines running, and that's where I started virtualizing. I was like, all right, sweet. Well, Blue Iris can be a virtual machine inside of this hypervisor. That's kind of how it all started for me, at least with virtualizing at home, for sure. Let's see. Buy a bigger house for the desk. There you go. I like it. I like where you're going with that, Skookali. I like where you're going. Lol, gets COVID. COVID says it's interesting. Yeah, it is interesting. It is interesting. Interesting. It's funny because like the passive aggressive way of saying you don't like something in Minnesota is saying, oh, that's interesting. So when you hear that from a Minnesotan, that usually means it's not the interesting you think it is. It's the interesting, like, really? Are you sure? No. At least that's the way it's portrayed to be. At least when I say interesting, I mean it's like interesting, intriguing, like tell me more. There were things about it or attributes about it that didn't seem to line up with my expectations. Like very different. It's mine's the Japanese interesting, omoshiroi. They say omoshiroi when they want to hear more about something. They'll say, oh, that's interesting. And that's more like a tell me more. And that's when I say interesting, it's more like tell me more. Anyways, that's a lot about Japanese culture and Minnesotan culture. So PC Geek new take, yeah, for sure. Cyber Knight, COVID sucks. Just got over it myself. All right, well, I'm glad you're doing better. It does suck. It's weird. It's interesting. It is weird. It is for sure. Ends life. Greetings from the EU. Finally, time to catch and watch your stream. Thank you so much for being here. Phantom Way. I call it long COVID. I do too. There's. I feel like there's lasting effects. They still are today. I don't feel normal. Like I said, I feel 80%. And that's physically, and a lot of it's mental too. A lot of it's mental for some reason, like things just aren't right. And I'm not gonna lie, like there were a couple days where I felt like depressed. I'm like, I've never been depressed for like, you know, like for a day or two. I felt down about stuff, but I felt like my mental health for a while wasn't great. I'm like, is this COVID? You know, I had no idea, you know, and then and then days I was tired and laying down at like 7 o'clock. I'm like, is this old age kicking in, or is this like because I'm sick? You know, it's a lot of weird stuff that make me like, you know, want to reevaluate things and a lot of things that make you question a lot of things about your body and your mind and stuff too. which wasn't normal. You know, you get a cold, you get a flu, you're kind of like, I'm sick, I'm going to get better. And you can kind of track your progress, and then it kind of tapers off real fast. Not with this. JCX Life, my lights are flashing, but I have no idea, so I apologize. Apollo Pine, lights are just flashing. Okay, lights are going to flash. Maybe a notification went off. I don't see one, though. My notification... my code is better. My code is better than Stream Elements. Look at that. That was amazing. Mason Dahrung has subbed, Prime sub. Thank you so much. It's funny because my code that flashes is I subscribe to code directly to Twitch. And so my code got that notification faster than Stream Elements did. Take that, Stream Elements. Anyways, JCX Live. Oh, wow. Thank you, Crack Kitty. Discord, thank you, guys. Thank you for spreading the links and the love. Kitty, spreading the sub crack all around. Yeah, for sure. Oh, Mysterion rises. Data hoarder. Yeah, I feel like I've kind of turned into a data hoarder, even though I don't want to be. I have videos of like my desktop recording of doing something for like an hour and a half. I'm like, do I really need this? But I'm like, what if I need to re-render that, you know, for whatever reason? It's never going to get any better quality than the time I rendered it. But what if I need that? And so I kind of hang on to stuff. I don't know if I ever redo my NAS and if I ever move to physical, or if I ever move my 20 terabytes of stuff that I have now, not fully filled, I will reevaluate what I'm keeping. I'm pretty good with physical stuff, like at least evaluating, have I used this? Do I need it? Have I looked at it? Have I touched it? Have I thought about it? If not, get rid of it. Digital stuff, it's kind of just like, throw it in there. G6 Life Choo Choo, biggest hype train I've ever seen so far. I agree. That was a long one. Strawberries waiting on YouTube, yeah. Dunkle Dan, Techno Tim, I actually have 4+ terabytes of raw footage from over time of game capture. So your video this morning got me thinking that I'm going to be doing that before moving over to my NAS, and I'm working on that too. Will be nice to have the extra space again. I totally agree. Like when people think about like, hey, convert your media collection, a lot of people go right to movies and stuff that you've downloaded. But a lot of people, other people, maybe the same people, no judgment, have videos from all kinds of stuff. I mean, I have like 10 gigs of video on my phone. It stays on my phone, most of it, that I want to put in long-term storage at some point. I don't always need it on my phone. And the same with video captures, with gaming. I mean, think of gaming. I mean, at least when I stream games on Twitch, I would stream 4 or 5 hours and record the whole time. And a lot of people do that without even streaming. They do game recordings. And sometimes you just want long-term storage. And I think that getting it into, a more compressed format for longer term is pretty good. I know there's the argument too that's, hey, like, why spend the processing power and compressing it and losing some fidelity when space is so cheap? And that's a perfectly fine argument. But for me, it's one thing to go and buy a hard drive for cheap off of eBay. It's another thing to actually put it in your NAS, and if you have ZFS, and reconfigure it. And if you don't have a NAS with ZFS, or you have a Synology and reconfigure that, or you don't have any drive space left or drive slots left, it's the TCO, total cost of ownership of buying an additional drive is a lot higher than just buying the drive. So, but there are all different ways to solve this problem. I just think that, hey, H.265 is I think is going to do me pretty good for some long-term storage. Maybe when I'm 90 years old, if I get to live that long and I look at a desktop recording of me like installing whatever Rancher, I'll look back and say, hey, it's pretty good quality. Either that or we'll be on like 100K by then and be like, look how pixelated that is. Like I can see the pixels on my mustache. I don't, what am I talking about? Oh, you know how it is when you look at old videos now. I can't imagine it being like that crazy as it is now when you look at videos from 10 years ago. All right, let's see. Mr. Monsoon had the tornado here. Ooh, hope you're okay. Yeah, there's lots of bad weather. Directly south, the south part of the United States, and moving to the southeast or covering the whole southeast. So hope everyone is safe. Yeah, in Texas. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, there's a storm ripping through there for sure. Techno over here, it's upper 90s already. Yeah, it always is there. It always is there. JCX Life, just careful. Transcoding video to keep the highest quality copy you'll ever want to use. So you can, if you go lossy, you can't go back. Yeah, that's for sure. I totally agree. I totally agree. I totally agree. And, you know, my camera does some kind of little bit of compression anyways. And, you know, I capture either at 4K or 1080 too. So, you know, a lot of my stuff is just, it's what you see right now, except for me battling. Well, man, it's pretty much the same thing you see right now. But me messing up even more than I normally do now, trying to read a script or remember my script. And it's just not, I don't even know why I keep it. But stuff like that, I don't mind if I lose too much quality. Right now, most of my stuff's at 1080p anyways. And then on top of that, when I share it, it goes to Google and they compress it anyways. Again, even if I send it to them exactly the way they want, you can never get it exactly the way they want. So they're gonna compress it for their own systems too. So yeah, it's interesting for sure. Cause I'm just like, you know, video noob. I do stuff on YouTube, you know, but I'm not like this video codec expert or a video file for sure. Xavier Steed, Mernon, did you realize you were strumming yet? What? Mernon, didn't you realize you were strumming yet? What? Let's see. Welcome to the Southwest, I think. Yeah, oh yeah, you guys are lucky down there. Lucky down there. I keep thinking about, man, maybe I should get closer to the sun belt or further at some point. I need some sunlight, that's for sure. That's for sure. That was one thing that during being sick, I realized like just getting some sunlight and out and walking was super helpful. More than normal. Moving Llama, hi, how's it going? It's podcast Saturday. Xavier, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Crack Kitty seems good. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, let's see. I followed your guide of TLS with traffic and having internal services secured with TLS and Gandhi instead of Cloudflare, and it worked out pretty well. Or Gandhi. After Easter, our internal services will be configured like it. So thank you. Yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all. Yeah, I hope that it works out well. I don't know that service, but if it's like Cloudflare and protects you just like that, awesome. All the better. All the better. Let's see. Hello, Choo Choo, Hype. Thank you. Let's see. I know you've done a video on passing through, so this is Arwix. I know you've done a video on passing through GPUs for Proxmox, which is great. I'm looking to having some sort of Steamcast solution to play games on with my TV without using my gaming PC. Do you think it's a good solution to virtualize or pass through, or is it better to have a dedicated machine that can sit on my home theater system? Yeah, good question. I think either will work. So I you know, part of that video was actually talking about remote play or Steam play at home. And that works, and it works fine. I mean, there are other solutions out there. I think Steam works really great with it. There's also Moonlight, and there's a couple of other. Moonlight, I think, will help you stream directly from your NVIDIA video card. But Steam will help you stream from another Steam client. I think it's fine. I would say, you know, if your options are buy and not buy and virtualize, I would say virtualize first, because that doesn't cost you anything, presumably. If you have you know the machine there and you have the hardware, the video card, I'd say go for that, because that's might be quote unquote free because you already have the stuff. And then if you have to buy, go and buy. I've gone back and forth because I used to have like a theater at my old house when I didn't live in Minnesota, and I kind of did the same thing. I would hook machines directly up, and then I would think, well, I can virtualize this and just get this little tiny, you know, thin client hooked up to here. I would go back and forth all the time, mainly because I wanted to, you know, do other things other than just stream games. So yeah, I would say go for it. Try it virtualized on a server first, but it should work fine. I did that for a long time. With the little Steam box that they don't make anymore, that's hooked up to my TV down there. I streamed all the time, not from this PC because I didn't want to have it on. Let's see, Chicano, working on finally building up my arcade machine. Been procrastinating too long. Yeah. Let's see. Love your videos. So glad I caught you live. Thank you so much. Nod. Takano, yeah. You need to get on the arcade machine. I saw some of your parts, for sure. For sure. Let's see. The rack should be thick. Yeah, your rack does look awesome. It does look awesome, Xavier's, for sure. WMS McKay. I'm trying to set up a home lab in a box script using Terraform, Proxmox, and Ansible. Can I use Docker Compose to spin up my containers and then have them appear in Rancher or Portainer? You can for sure in Portainer. In Rancher, not so much. Because Rancher moved away from just using Docker. It's not to manage Docker anymore. It's really to manage other Kubernetes clusters. So Portainer, yeah, absolutely, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, that's how I use Portainer. Is it the way you probably should? I don't know. But Portainer, one feature of Portainer is Kubernetes. Another feature of Portainer is Docker. And then another is Docker Swarm. So it can communicate with the Docker API that's running on that machine, and you can absolutely do it that way, because that's the way I spin up all my containers on my virtual machine that's running Docker. I use Docker Compose, I spin it up, and then I get a nice web view of those containers that are running with Portainer. So absolutely you can. It sounds awesome. So yeah, so Terraform, I always say Terraform because one of my buddies, Terraform, to spin up your infrastructure, your virtual machines and whatever, and then build them up, and then use Ansible to deploy stuff. Yeah, absolutely. That sounds fantastic for me. That's the way I have it in my head. Terraform to spin up infrastructure, Ansible to configure infrastructure. That's how I have it in my head. That's how I've been using it. So sounds good to me. And then to answer your question, yeah, absolutely. Not Rancher though, because Rancher isn't to manage Docker. I mean, it's just kind of weird that, you know, the single node version of Docker is really for development and testing and playing around with, and maybe for home labs too. And that happens to run Docker, and it spins up Kubernetes cluster in a Docker container. But they're, you know, it's you won't be able to manage those containers. You'll see them. You'll absolutely see them. But when you spin up additional, that's not how it's supposed to be used. You're not supposed to spin them up outside of there. You're supposed to use Kubernetes to instantiate your containers with Rancher, if it wasn't confusing enough. Let's see, Dunkle Dan. It's going to be working on pfSense or something similar to toss in my rack. Still trying to figure out what hardware, such as what I want, what I'm going to do. So in other words, I'll get it done in 6+ months. I hear you. Let's see, GCX Life. Didn't read out loud that I got gifted sub. Yeah, I did. I absolutely did. Did you use Cloudflare? Do you use Cloudflare? Absolutely, I do. I do. For almost all my stuff. I've done a couple of videos on it where I talk about how I use it. I have one on just like securing, you know, self-hosted services, where I go about it in detail. And then I have one later on talking about, like, after I put that video out, people attack me, so I had to ramp it up a little bit more. But absolutely, yeah, I do use them for DNS, and I use them as my reverse proxy too, and they've been protecting a lot of my services. I had some troubles for about a week, but I think I got it kind of figured out. Let's see, Apollo Python. I was working on my Proxmox. Oh, nice, yeah, for sure. Nick, I have Comcast. All right. Wait, I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I am Mangus. I am Mangus. Erlit. I don't know. I can't tell if these are motes or not. I apologize, the way that this shows up. Xavius D. So, night off from work last night. Hey, Twisted Grim. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. So, night off from work last night. Finally finished up the server migration and got my TrueNAS and Jellyfin servers and VMs moved to their own 10 gig SFP plus ports. All right, you were on a roll. Salvarius, I don't count today. I was just lurking and I had the stream up waiting for. Well, I was doing other stuff. Yeah, sure you do. You count. Spent last night setting up the sonar and jacket, and I've uploaded, I'm going to say downloaded, uploaded 200 plus TV shows for the episodes last night alone. You be careful. You got to be careful. Oh, look at that. Upside down even. Techno Tim, how's it going? Takano also got a nice Dell monitor for $9 at Goodwill. You always get these deals. You get these deals for sure. You get deals. I remember seeing it. I remember seeing it in the channel, and you said that it had, I think it had HDMI ports as well. But I remember seeing it in a picture, in a photo. GCX, not much done in the lab this week, but I did get my RAID rebuilt. Awesome. It was degraded. I had an 8 terabyte array fail. Ooh, first time RMAing a drive. Only got 6 months out of it. Other than that, it's been about carpets and tidying. Carpets and tidying. Yeah, I hear you. You gotta balance it. You gotta balance it, JCX. That's for sure. It's scary. It's scary when your RAID gets degraded. You know, if you have one drive degraded, and if you have 2 drives degraded, it depends on how many drives you can afford to lose. I know in my scenario, I can lose 2. If I lose the 3rd, I lose my whole entire array. So it's a scary feeling. I don't have any spare drives. I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't want to say I'm living on the edge, but I'm kind of close to the edge. I'm hedging my bets on you know, a 3 drive failure all in the same day would be pretty rough. For a while there, resilvering would be a rough week. I have had, you know, 1 down. I've had out of all 8 of my drives, I've had each one of them get degraded and died because I think I was part of a bad batch. Ever since then, they've been bulletproof. So, but yeah, it's tough. It's kind of scary too. It's kind of scary, but it's kind of fun to resilver them and you see it resilvering. It's or when you rebuild the RAID, however you're doing it or whatever RAID type you're using, it's interesting, kind of nail biting, but kind of fun. And when it's done, you're like, oh, that's awesome. Let's see, Xavius, I'm hanging out on voice chat today, but the rack is thick. So today is all about Diablo 3 Season 26 launch. I didn't know there was a new season. I should know this stuff. I have Diablo 3. It's one of the few games that I can pick up and play for 15, 20 minutes when I have some time. Actually, and I have 2 now. But yeah, I want to get back into Diablo for sure. When I was sick, I wanted to play games, but I couldn't even sit up at my desk, which was unfortunate. But I was like, I was so tired, I just didn't even want to sit at my desk. I wanted to lay down. So, but I was going to play some Diablo 3. I didn't. So enjoy Season 26 for sure. Mr. Monsoon, TrueNAS with 10 Gig Network. All right. Is what I'm looking at. Oh, that sounds like a winning combo. GCX Live also looks like we got transcoding options on Twitch today. Yeah, speaking of transcoding, thanks Twitch. Yeah, must have known I just did a video on transcoding stuff. I just moved off my TrueNAS off the 1 gig NIC to 10 gig SFP Plus port on my server 2 nights ago. All right. Moving Llama, try to fit a U-shaped desk. I like U-shaped desk. Yeah, I like the idea of that. It's, you know, basically, you know, 2 L's connected. QSFP. Oh, thank you. That's the name of my cable. Thank you. Hey, at least I'm the perfect size. Yeah. QSFP to 808. Thank you. That's it. Thank you. A QSFP to 808 for the NetApp HBA card. I can never remember it. I remember the 8088, but not the QSFP, and then I started doubting myself on what it is. Kesta, 1890. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Thank you, guys. Thank you for sure. Thanks, Xavius. Yeah, Pizza Geek. You guys got it. Yeah. Let's see. Do you have a DMZ for network for public accessible services? I feel like I'm being social hacked right now. I don't have a DMZ. I thought about doing a double firewall and setting up a DMZ, but I haven't yet. No, but I do segment all of my public facing stuff into its own VLAN with its own ACLs where no traffic can get through to the rest of the network. So do I have a DMZ in the traditional sense? No. But do I have VLAN set up and ACLs in place to make sure that if something were compromised on a specific VLAN, that it couldn't do anything else anywhere else? Yes, I have that in place. That's in my self-hosting security guide stuff too. Check it out. But I have considered it. I have considered doing double firewall and then setting up a DMZ. But I haven't. It sounds complicated. It's probably time well spent and probably money well spent, but I haven't done it yet. Sorry, let me grab a drink. My throat's getting very dry. This is the most I've talked in like 3 weeks. My voice is already starting to get back to how it was. Let's see. Xavius, next time, Tim, my next thing on my to-do list is setting up my R210 2 with pfSense in a rack and waiting for software. Yeah, it's awesome. Man, you got all kinds of stuff going on, Xavius D. Super jelly. All new stuff you're building. PyTest. All right, PyTest. Oh yeah, so Python test. Yeah, thank you. When we were talking about unit testing and I wanted to be able to test Ansible playbooks on pull requests, yeah, I'll check out PyTest for sure. I'm familiar with PyTest for Python testing, just not for Ansible playbooks. I honestly want to do the CI and spin up everything, maybe in my own infrastructure. Who knows? That could be very dangerous. But I would love to do that because that's the only true way to test is like a real functional end-to-end test and say, yeah, let's spin up the real stuff. Spin up the real stuff somewhere in a cloud. Who cares? Maybe not in my cloud, but some other cloud. It would be awesome. It would be awesome to do that. Twisted Grim, Prime sub. Thank you so much. Thanks for spending your Prime sub with me. Appreciate it. There's a light war going on. I like it. Hey, did you answer my question if I use Cloudflare at home? I do. And if you want to see how I use it, check out my, securing your self-hosted services video. It goes kind of in depth on how I use it and how I think it should be used, especially their DDoS protection, as well as the reverse proxy stuff, which comes with their DDoS stuff. Let's see. GCX Life, don't merge with confidence, push with confidence. Yeah, I totally agree. But you gotta have unit tests for sure. I don't know. I mean, I don't have them on a lot of the stuff that I write publicly. But when you start to maintain stuff, it's hard. It's hard to like look at. It's hard to look at code and say, yeah, that's where the bug is, or nope, yep, that's where. We'll have some problems. I mean, obvious things you can see, but just having some kind of end-to-end suite to test the full system is tough. It's tough. But yeah, it's super fun. I don't push with confidence. I fire and review after a push. I'm bad at that. It's kind of like email. I send out messages and I proofread them in the sent box. I'm like, this is the wrong way of doing this. There is no undo or edit on email. Kind of like tweets. There's only delete. Flowdash, I just realized that with the NUT servers turned off perfectly, but I forgot about turning them back on. I'm working on that. I'm working away from home on VPN, so the iDRAC. So VPN and iDRAC it is, I guess. Yeah. I'm glad you have an iDRAC. I've accidentally shut down machines before while on vacation. Accidentally, it stinks. Old jump boxes, and I forget, and I shut down the Windows machine. Old jump boxes, and I'm just like, oh, can't get back in until after vacation. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But when UPS shut it down, that was good. But yeah, turning it back on is another, and that's when I have my Hail Mary Wake on LAN script, which just basically tries to turn stuff on all the time. Or in my net server, having that on a Pi 0 or low power Pi. So when it comes back on, it can wake everything back up if it's no longer on battery power. So it gets complex, but it's super fun. It's kind of scary if you don't get it right either, as you're finding out. Let's see, JSX Life, I had a system fail to start on Wake on LAN, but needs system sending the Wake on LAN packet to either the same VLAN or have permissions on that VLAN. Yeah. I don't think they can. Yeah. So I don't think they'll be rebroadcasted. I think they have to be on the same VLAN or same subnet unless you have something special set up. Yeah, good point there too. I don't think most will cross. I mean, people have ACLs in place probably where those things don't anyways, and they definitely don't broadcast. So, yeah. Light Redemption. Nick, I have an R710 with Proxmox as well, but I'm afraid of exposing my public IP. So this is why I'm asking if anything does Cloudflare when exposing home network. Yeah. So, I don't think I would expose. I don't think I would expose like your Proxmox GUI publicly. It's not something I would do. I think you're talking about services that are running inside of there. So yes, it's a long story. A lot of people think automatically when they use Cloudflare that their IP is hidden and everything is fine. Add all the DNS entries that you want and say proxy through them, and it's great. At least with Cloudflare's WAF, or their Web Application Firewall, that's an application layer firewall. It's layer 7 in the network stack, so it's only going to do HTTP traffic, the protocol, not HTTP versus HTTPS, but HTTP traffic. And so you can only put services behind that are HTTP. What's HTTP services? Web services, web APIs, and websites, pretty much. So TCP, 80, and 443. I mean, those are the ports that traditionally used, but it's still HTTP protocol. If you're running something like a Minecraft server, or you're running something like a VPN, you can't put that behind their WAF because that's going to be TCP and UDP traffic. So anyways, long story short, make sure that if you're going to use their WAF, it is HTTP traffic. I wouldn't expose Proxmox web UI publicly. And if you have something else that's not, and you still want to hide your traffic, you can use, a tunnel from Cloudflare, or you got to figure something else out with the jump box, and so that you can hide your IP. I would invest more time into just making sure that things are secure than hiding your IP, because I mean, hiding your IP is one thing, it's just security through obscurity. But hardening the way that people get in and out is another that will probably fare you well and further. So let's see, Nick, VTCN, J6 Life, you need an IP helper configured on your switch to forward the Wake on LAN packets. There you go. Thank you. Yes, you do. Thank you. And I didn't click on the button. Nick, hey, I do camera installation for Chicago, LOL. Camacho Networks. Awesome. Yeah, my camera stuff, I'm not digging Blue Iris, because I think that's going back to that. I'm not digging them at all. I've used it for a long time. It's good stuff. Come hang out in Discord for sure. Thank you guys for promoting Discord. It's definitely a good place for sure. Apollo Python, ZFS is Venus so good, but my Proxmox install took RAM like no tomorrow. It will. I limited to 13 gigs, and now the RAM is on 16.53 gigs from the 32. The server has, with all the services, the server has, with all the services running, was 21 gig before. I have 3 NFS pools, 1 terabyte, 4 terabyte, and 6 terabyte backup pool. Yeah, NFS, especially on Proxmox or anywhere, is just going to use all available RAM. It's going to cache the files that it's using or being read in its cache in ZFS, or it's just going to put them in ZFS, and it's going to use as much available RAM as it can. That's just how it is, how it works. I am told that Proxmox will reclaim some of that if it needs it for running services or your VMs, but I'm only repeating what I've heard before. I haven't looked into it too much. But yeah, I mean, ZFS, software RAID, especially ZFS, is going to use a lot of RAM for sure. Okay, let's see. GCX UG, the reply to icon didn't appear to reply, so now it looks like I replied to myself. Hey, it doesn't look like you replied to anyone to me, so it's totally fine. It's totally fine. VTCN, I'm from Minnesota, so it's true. LOL. Yeah, it is totally true. The whole interesting thing. I didn't realize that until I came here, because I'm not from here originally. So when I would say, people were like, that sounds like you're being passive. I'm like, no, I'm not being passive at all. And like, anyways, look it up about passive aggressive in Minnesota. It's like the capital for it, I guess. So I'm told. So the internet says. Jay Jones, I got lucky with UniFi. I ended up getting their MVR for 50% off when the end of life of their last MVR product. Awesome. I've considered it, because right now I have a UDM Pro with 1 hard drive, 6 or 7, 6 cameras, and so it's a pretty busy hard drive, and hopefully it never dies, but it will someday. If you use IP cameras and you have ONVIF, Motion Eye is pretty good, but Simple does everything I need. Nice. Going to be using that for the future. Nice. Yeah, I did look at that Motion Eye for a while, but I was paying for Blue Iris. I felt like every time it was, because it was subscription based, and I felt like, well, I paid for it, I got to use it, and then maybe someday I'll switch. And then all of a sudden they were like, hey, your support is up and you don't get any more updates. And I'm like, well, I want an update. So I, repay for it. And I mean, that's the way it is with commercial software. But every time I was like, I want to try something else, I was never in a position to where I could. Until I bought my UDM, and I'm like, well, it's already here. I might as well get a camera and check it out. So it's pretty awesome. And I won't harp on it too much, but it goes beyond just the hardware and the software too. They have their apps are wonderful. I mean, their apps for mobile devices is incredible. Even for their network app is incredible. They have a Wi-Fi Man app that is incredible. I'm like, this is, I get it that people say you're paying for the software, but that software also includes mobile apps too, which are incredible. Anyways, Alex, I'm gonna go with Axel Red HD. Thanks for the Prime sub. Thank you so much. I apologize for slaughtering that name. I apologize. Let's see. Xavius D. Oh, that's interesting. In Minnesota, the equivalent of nice hang in poker. nice hand. Yeah, for sure. Duncle Dan, I'm sure. Kintech. Hey Tim, glad to catch the stream. I followed your guide yesterday, having set up traffic in SSL and all the things. I'm having an issue where if I go to it, it will 404 instead of redirecting HTTPS. I wondered if you come across this behavior and you knew of a fix. I would check to be sure that your middleware for redirecting to HTTP to I think there's like a web secure flag. Check the web secure flag to make sure that that's set properly. It's hard to know without like looking at your configuration. But I know that's where some of the landmines are. So configuring the actual route or that label, however you're configuring it, make sure that's set. Usually a 404 means that traffic itself can't contact the backend behind it. Where a 503 usually means it's misconfigured. 404 means it can't find it. So I would look or share your config somewhere. We could take a look at it. But I have so many examples in my GitHub of different services and different middleware that you might need. This sounds like just something probably overlooked, maybe something simple. But look at the web secure flag. Make sure that that's turned on and it is truly redirecting. Let's see. Takano. My sub notification also didn't seem to notify. It's weird. Notifications are weird for sure. Abdurum, how are you doing? How have you been? How long have you been a dev? What's your stack? Hey, Abdurum. I've been a dev for a long time. I've done all kinds of stacks. I've done all kinds of stacks. I mean, I've done .NET. I've done mostly Node and JavaScript now, and TypeScript as well. But you name it. Mostly in the .NET JavaScript, though. I would say that front end, back end, middle tier. I've done a lot of it. I gravitate towards. I honestly gravitate towards front end and DevOps. It's this weird melding of those two that you usually don't find in a lot of places, or people who are interested in those two things. But I think a lot of it had to do with the two teams that I've worked on, or more than two teams, but one in particular where I did a ton of DevOpsy stuff for a while. But it was actually building the tools for DevOps, so it was less about operations and more about building the tools for DevOps, which was it's totally meta. Swiss Techno Tom, hey, best thing to do on a Saturday night. Thank you. Following your stream. Sorry. Thank you, and hello from Switzerland. Thank you, Swiss Techno Tom. How's it going? Duncle Dan, it's funny you talk about the virtual hoarding versus physical. I've been reading Marie Kondo's book. So yesterday I was diving into it and going through my clothes, and now I have a giant purple pile of things to get rid of. Digital is going to be tougher for me. Yeah, me too, because it's 100% out of sight, out of mind. And you don't even know it's there unless you look. At least with physical things, you're like, what the heck is that pile of stuff over there? Or, I don't have any room left in my closet. Or you go in the basement and you're like, what is all this stuff? Yeah, I've been a lot better. My wife and I have been pretty good at about saying, with the exception of a few Hawaiian shirts and stuff like that, a few shirts that I had in college that I will not let go of. But for the most part, we're just like, have we looked at it? Have we thought about it? Have we touched it? No. Could someone else get some use out of this and some joy out of it? Sure. So we donate it. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It gets easier. It gets easier for sure. I have so many old clothes and stuff. I'm just like, I don't know. And a lot of them fit again too. So it's kind of nice, but at the same time, it's like, do I need 15 developer shirts from 2000 whatever 9 every series of that shirt possible? Probably not. Let's see. Ox Teddington. I'm going with Ox Teddington. Hey, how are you doing? I'm doing good. Let's see. Salvarius, only 90. I aspired to be ahead in a jar. Yeah. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. I'll take any longer as long as things are still functioning. JCX Life, that's a question I can ask. Techno Tim, do you use auto cue or something similar to recording your vids? I don't know what auto cue is. I'm assuming that's, I don't. So I don't know what auto cue is. I don't use anything other than like a document and like trying to remember my lines, which is probably contributing to a lot of different things. Anyways, but no, I write my script. I review my script. I think about my script way before I do it. And I try to go through it. With tutorials, it's a little bit easier because, you know, it's talking points, it's talking points. And a lot of the stuff that, at least in some tutorials, unlike the one I did today, which was 100% narrated, those are tough. Those are tough and really long editing. I spend more time editing those and working on those than I do when I actually do, full-blown tutorials where I'm walking through stuff. But when I do just normal tutorials, I've been doing developer conferences or, just internal conferences and internal meetings and stuff for a while at a lot of companies I worked at. So I feel kind of comfortable with that as long as I'm prepared. It's kind of like this. It's just like a whole lot of thinking on your toes. But at least when I do a lot of demos, I understand the thing that I'm working on. I've done it before. I have bullet points or highlights that I need to hit throughout that. So yeah. But it's not easy. Not easy. I'm always relieved when I'm done. Let's see, Takano, if you come here, you won't ever want to walk outside when it's 110 degrees outside. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I say I'm jealous of your weather, but I'm jealous of your 50 degree nights and your 70 degree, 80 degree days that are very dry. I'm not jealous of the 110, 125 or the 30 degrees. That's for sure in the Southwest. Dunkle Dan, I die in any weather above 70 myself. Yeah, I do too. I feel that way. Anytime I get a little bit warm, I'm kind of like, ooh, I'm the same way. I'd much rather be cold than warm any day. But for some reason, I feel like lately I need a little bit more sunlight. And it's just the season. And, winter times tends to drag on for a long time around here. JCX, I went out of town for the first time since we moved. Congratulations, 2 years. Definitely agree that the sun felt nice and really good weather here today. Yeah, sometimes it's nice to just get some sunlight. That's, I've always been like a cave dweller. I feel like, but even more so just being sick. It's like I didn't even step outside for a couple days, if not a week. So I'm feeling it. Takano, it is a struggle. AC is on like 90% of the day, or else you don't stop sweating. You open the door and it feels like you just walked into an oven. I remember that. I've been to Southwest quite a few times. I actually went hiking and it was like 110 degrees out in Sonoma. And it was like, we went hiking because I was like, this is the only time we're going to see this. We only had a few days. Midday, 2 o'clock, 110 degrees. Back against some big mountain wall, and I was just like in an oven. Like there was no relief from anything, like heat coming off of every piece of rock possible. You could feel the heat coming off the ground too. I'm like, there's no escaping this. Not fun. I know for sure. Let's see, Takano, it's expecting high of 90, and it's only expected to go up. Yeah, for sure. And that's probably not the worst you get for sure. Hey guys, I know I didn't get through all chat. I'm gonna look for specific mentions. It's hard to distinguish between Techno Tim and Takano and Techno Tom. So let's see if I can do this. I do want to wrap it up, and I do want to stay true to only keeping it about an hour. And so I'm going to look for mentions. Like I said, it's hard to on this new chat system that I'm using to actually see mentions. Here we go. Apollo Python, which firewall distro could I use from a Nextcloud VM? I have got some experience with IP fire. Seems overkill. Firewall distro could you use for just your Nextcloud VM? I mean, you should. I think you would have a firewall like on your edge, anyways, on your perimeter of your network. I don't think that any firewall is really overkill. I mean, some people use Palo Altos at home. Some people use Cisco, or some people use, edge routers, anything at home, or have firewall rules and IPS, IDS. I don't think anything's necessarily overkill for home. I think you need, just the same protection that a lot of enterprises do. I mean, I'm sure, yes, enterprises are probably targeted more, and data centers are probably targeted more, but at the same time, like the threats that crawl out through the internet are still real and can affect you the same way. So I don't think anything's overkill as long as you're willing to put in the time and effort and possibly money into maintaining it and having it. But if you're running Nextcloud in a VM, I would think about just protecting your whole entire network. Think about it holistically versus just Nextcloud. And I know you're saying Nextcloud because that's probably the service that you're publicly exposing, but you can do that in a couple of different ways. I mean, I've talked a few times about Cloudflare during the stream. I would absolutely, if you're going to expose a web service like Nextcloud publicly, I would put something in front of it like Cloudflare and use their reverse proxy. Let them bear the brunt of those attacks. I mean, they serve billions and billions of packets a day, probably beyond billions, trillions. I don't even know. I'm making this number up because it's so astronomically huge. Put them in front of it. They've seen these attacks. They're first to get attacked because so many companies use them, and they can assimilate the two, create new rules, and block new attacks. So I would definitely look into them, put them in front. That's what I do. That's what I talked about in my home lab security video. Put Cloudflare in front, and then have rules to say, hey, if this traffic, this web traffic isn't coming from Cloudflare, just block it. And now you've essentially used Cloudflare as your web application firewall to only allow users who are vetted through Cloudflare to then come to your Nextcloud instance. And I would even argue, do you need your Nextcloud instance public? I mean, maybe you do if you have multiple users, but if it's just you and it's just easy to do it over, publicly, then maybe it's a VPN only thing, But if you have multiple users, that might get a little bit more difficult. And, there's probably a lot of use cases, but and then you layer that approach. You web application firewall with Cloudflare. Then you have your own internally too. You use SSL even with Cloudflare or TLS, and you just keep layering on the security just to, you can never go wrong with layering on more security. Well, I mean, you can go overboard, but it's going to be at the cost of convenience. And then you could even put something like Authelia or something else, some other zero trust thing in front of it to say, no one gets to this publicly unless they authenticate to this thing first. And that's yet another layer of security. And that might make hosting public services a little bit better. Even though they're hosted publicly, you still have some kind of authorization gate in front of that too. So a lot of ways to go with that. I mean, if you're thinking of hosting anything publicly, check out, just Google like Techno Home Lab, self-hosting security, and look at that video because I talk about all of these scenarios, all of these things that you'll want to consider, and it's all diagrammed out on ways to do it. It's not a step-by-step tutorial. It's more architecture and guidance to say, hey, if you're thinking about these things, you should think about these things as well. So, all right. I'm gonna look for mentions. All right, we're wrapping it up. All right, cool. Lickety split. I'll go with this one just because my throat is killing me, and we're over time. Techno 10, 15 seconds is a good indicator of impatience. Appreciate the humor. 15 seconds. All right. Oh, for my 15 seconds. It's funny you mentioned that because I'm like, do I do 30 or do I do 10? Like how impatient was I? Thank you. Thanks for noticing that, Lickety Splitty. Yeah, I struggled with that. I mean, I wrapped that up last night to get it out for today. Sometimes I go to great lengths to get stuff out by Saturday morning. But I edited that title pretty late. I'm like, what seems impatient but not too impatient, And so anyways, 15 seconds is what I settled on. So I appreciate it. Hey, Nick, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Hey, guys, thank you so much for being here today. Thanks so much for the comments, for chatting, for being here, for talking about stuff and being a good community and good citizen in the channel. I appreciate it. If you guys want to talk some more and you're not part of our Discord, you should totally join. We're over 6,000 members there now. We talk about all kinds of stuff. We joke about all kinds of stuff. A lot of people end up doing voice chat after the stream too. I might be able to hop in tonight. I hope I can. I don't have concrete plans right now, but if I can, I will, because it's fun every time we do it, and I learn a lot. And we chat up with Xavier's D because he's hanging out in there a lot, so I appreciate it. And that's not a jab. I love that you hang out in there because it encourages other people to jump into voice chat too. If you have any questions, yeah, you can absolutely ping me on Discord, Twitter, wherever. I will be back next Saturday. Hopefully, I'll have something out for you next Saturday too. There were lots of bits, lots of follows, lots of subs, lots of gifted subs, and resubs and first-time subs. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It means a ton to me. I'd never, I say this a lot, but I never imagined that I'd have any more than just me in this channel. And for a long time, probably a year plus, it was me, just me, and maybe a bot. So I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate all the continued support. So. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Have a happy Easter if you celebrate Easter, and be good to each other. Take care, folks.